Good evening, everyone. This is the pre-council meeting of the Joliet City Council and Council Chambers on Monday, August 15th, 2022 at 5:30 with Mayor Robert Odekirk presiding.
We'll begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin. Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin just notified me he's running a few minutes late. Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
Before we have the presentation this evening, we are going to review the licenses and permit applications, which are council memos 418-22 through 420-22. If the Deputy Liquor Commissioner could approach the podium, please.
First council memo is 419-22. Public hearing was held July 27th, 2022 for a request of a Class B liquor license. The applicant is Bill Dimitrilis, DBA Musa Tapas Bar at 158 North Chicago Street. No persons appeared in opposition. There are no outstanding monies owed to the city. Police and fire departments have no issues, and the building department also has no issues. Based on the facts of the hearing, the Liquor Commissioner is recommending approval.
Guys.
All right. Council Memo 420-22. A public hearing was held on July 27, 2022 for a request of a Class B liquor license. The applicant is Phil Petrakos, DBA The Royal Palace Event Center. Location is 1416 West Jefferson Street. No persons appeared in opposition. There are no monies owed to the city. Police and fire will defer to the building inspector, who will approve upon final inspection. Based on the facts and findings of the hearing, the Liquor Commission is recommending approval.
Do you have 418 for Sushia? 418-22?
Sushia.
Is there a third one?
I have it as 421, I'm sorry.
Oh, we have 418-22.
It's scribbled out, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so Sushia's 418, okay. So Council Memo 418-22. All right, a public hearing was held on July 27, 2022 for a request of a Class E liquor license. The applicants are Fang and Wei Lin, DBA is Sushi Ya. The location is at 2721 West Jefferson Street, Suite 120. No persons appeared in opposition. There are no monies owed to the city. Police and fire have no issues. The building department also has no issues. And based on the facts and findings of the hearing, the Liquor Commission is recommending approval.
Any questions on those? Thanks, Kevin.
Good. All right, thanks.
Next on the agenda is a presentation, the alternative water source update. Allison Swisher, Director of Public Utilities.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Today we have an update on the alternative water source program with a focus on the next steps with moving forward with our final design engineering. Mr. Joe Johnson with STANTEC will be presenting on the amendment number 3, which will be brought to the council in September for approval. I did also want to introduce everyone to Mr. Joe Darlington, who is sitting over here. He is with Burns & McDonald, and he is the project manager for our independent review process. So I'll turn it over to Joe Johnson.
Thank you, Allison. Good evening, Council. Appreciate the opportunity to be back in front of you to talk about the Alternative Water Source Program. We're reaching really a critical point in the program, and so want to bring you up to date and provide you with some information regarding our Amendment 3 before it comes to the Council for consideration in September. So if you recall, we've laid out a multi-year program for the Alternative Water Source Program to bring a reliable, high-quality source of water to Joliet. That process started several years ago. In 2021, we embarked on preliminary design of the system to bring Lake Michigan water to the community. The period 2022 through 2024 was laid out as completing that preliminary design, moving into final design, with the goal of starting construction in late 2024 and completing the program, delivering water to Joliet by 2030. There's been a tremendous amount of progress made to date. The city has obtained its Lake Michigan allocation, which was a critical part of getting a permit, the permit from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to use Lake Michigan water. Significant progress has been made in the coordination with Chicago, and the city staff are working very closely to get to a final water supply agreement with Chicago. We now have 5 partners that have agreed with Joliet to form a regional water commission. That was a crucial part of this effort to spread the load, if you will, of this project and really bring a regional solution to the area. Funding initiatives have moved forward. The city has obtained its first WIFIA loan, which provides low-interest funding to the federal government through US EPA. And there's a letter of interest that will be submitted on behalf of the commission here fairly soon to set that funding initiative up and secure funds to make the program possible. And then the preliminary and final engineering are progressing. There are a number of individual projects. You'll hear us talk about 8 capital improvement projects, but in reality, there are a total of about 34 separate contracts, construction contracts, that will likely be advertised and bid to complete the regional work as well as the Joliet-only work needed to bring the system to fruition. So as I said, we're at a critical point where we're completing preliminary design activities, moving into final design. If you recall, back in April 2020, after a competitive process, the city awarded a contract to the STANTEC team, and we'll talk in a minute about the many members of that team. And that original scope of services was to evaluate 2 alternatives for bringing Lake Michigan water to Joliet. There was the Chicago option, which is to buy purchased water from Chicago, as well as an option to build an independent system all the way to Lake Michigan in Indiana. That work was completed. And in January of 2021, the council made the decision to go with the Chicago alternative. So that initial scope of work was about $3.5 million worth of work that went into that effort. And that was work that was paid for by Joliet to make that decision. At that point, the city approved a significant amendment, our amendment number 1, that provided for preliminary engineering and other support services to start working towards the implementation of that Chicago alternative. That was about a $17.9 million amendment, so a significant chunk of work. About $14 million of that is associated with the regional improvements, the improvements that are needed to serve Joliet and its partners, and about $3.8 million worth of that work is allocated for tasks on the Joliet side to design, identify, design, develop the projects required for Joliet. In May of this year, we came to the council with a no-cost change order, Amendment 2, that we used to basically adjust some of the budget in our contract to allow us to proceed with some final design and some program management activities that needed to move forward before we were ready to go forward with a major final design amendment. So there's been some significant work done on the program management side, and we'll talk a little bit about what that really means. But again, if you can think about this, we're talking about a program to deliver on the order of $700 to $800 million worth of capital improvements, 30 some odd construction contracts. There's a significant infrastructure required to stand up this new utility that will be the Regional Water Commission and get these projects done. That's the program management component of this effort. So looking at this slide, you can see those are the amendments, the original scope and the amendments that have been authorized to date. We're now finalizing what we're calling amendment number 3, and we'll be bringing that to the council for consideration in September. Amendment number 3 is a major piece of engineering and program management work that will really advance the program from the preliminary engineering where we've been into final design and program management and prepare for the initial construction of early parts of the overall program implementation. So Amendment 3 will include that program management for the next 2 years to carry us forward to about the late part of 2024, prepare us for construction. The total value of the amendment number 3 is about $61 million. We're still working with city staff and the regional partners to address all of their comments and get that number finalized, but we expect it to be on the order of that amount. Of that total, about 51 million is for program management and engineering associated with commission improvements, and about 10 million is associated with work for the city of Joliet only. Once Amendment 3 is approved, we would then expect in the future to have a couple of more amendments that would provide for construction services, so engineering design during, engineering services during construction, as well as program management through construction and delivery of the improvements. Right now, we're anticipating that that work would be broken up into probably 2 separate amendments just to make it more manageable and break it into about 3-year pieces of work. So that's the roadmap that we see from the engineering and program management side of the overall program leading to delivery of water. I mentioned a few minutes ago, the STANTEC team is actually made up of staff from STANTEC Consulting Services, as well as several critical sub-consultants that are helping us. Crawford, Murphy, and Tilley is a major sub-consultant that's providing program management assistance as well as engineering throughout the program. Engineering Enterprises, Strand Associates, V3 companies are all engineering firms with established records here in this area. They're working as part of the team. Cornwell Engineering Group is a specialty firm out of Virginia that we brought in to help with our corrosion control and water transfer analysis. Obviously, switching sources from groundwater to lake water is a major change. We want to make sure that all the work is done properly so that that transition doesn't contribute to any water quality issues down the road. And then we have local partners. Images Inc. is a WBE firm out of Naperville that's providing our public outreach support. And Edward J. Batis is a local appraiser that's been supporting the team with property appraisals for land acquisition services. A key point I want to make is the team is committed to working to engage local and disadvantaged business enterprises as we go forward with the work. Earlier this year, we issued an RFQ for geotechnical field services to pre-qualify geotechnical firms that we could use as the work goes forward to provide drilling services and analysis. And then we'll be issuing in September an RFQ for professional design engineering support for DBE and local firms to support our team as we go forward with the final engineering part of the work. So let's talk just a minute about STANTEC, what the Amendment 3 for STANTEC includes. As I said, the total amendment amount is on the order of $61 million. It's a tremendous amount of work. But you can see here from the list that there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure to be designed. And this is to take the vast majority of this work to final design and bidding services. So this would get us all the way to the point of being ready to award contracts for construction. For on the order of about 60 miles of transmission main on the regional side, 3 large pump stations, 14 delivery structures to provide water to all of the regional partners, a regional SCADA system that provides for monitoring and control of the infrastructure, 2 standpipes, and then, as I said, the program management, the outreach, the external coordination, and the funding, essentially to stand up a brand new water utility that's going to serve several 100,000 people in this region. The Regional Water Commission will purchase water from Chicago. It will own and operate the transmission main infrastructure from Chicago to the delivery points for Joliet and the other 5 members of the commission. And then Joliet and the other commission members will continue to operate their own distribution systems and provide water to their customers. As I said, in this amendment, we also have work for Joliet only. There's work that has to be done in the Joliet system to switch over from a system that uses wells distributed out throughout the community to a system that relies now on fewer, probably about 4 points of connection where the Lake Michigan water will come into the system. So there are pump stations, standpipes, local distribution improvements that have to be done as well. And as I said, that final engineering for the Joliet work adds up to about $10 million. There is a portion of the regional transmission main that will only be taken to 30% design as part of this work. The final decision on the commission members was only made in February of this year. And so the western end of the transmission main is basically getting that water from the main pipeline to those 14 delivery points. Couldn't really be started until we knew who those commission members were and where they were going to take the water. So that work will be taken through preliminary engineering next year, and then the final design for that would be incorporated into our Amendment 4 when we're ready to proceed with that. What's important here, I know, to this council is how does this stack up with where we thought we were going to be? And so when we put together the application to US EPA a couple of years ago for the first water infrastructure and financing loan, the WIFIA loan, we estimated that the development costs for the program, so this development costs are really all the non-construction costs, so the design, engineering, services during construction, land acquisition, permitting, all that work, would total about $190 million. And that's what was built into that loan and what was approved when Joliet closed on the loan earlier this year. Out of that $190 million, about $166 million is for regional improvements and about $24 million is for Joliet. So where we are to date, about $18 million, that's 17.9 we talked about before, has been authorized. Those are the amendments that have been approved to date. Excuse me. Amendment number 3 is about another 61 million. That's the polka dot part of the pie chart, if you will. And then the remainder of that 190 million is the light blue portion of this. So even with Amendment 3, while it is a huge amendment, we're still less than 50% of that budget spent. And this will get us to final design, ready to bid and go to construction with major portions of the infrastructure. So we're comfortable that Amendment 3 is within the budget that we set for the overall project and keeps us on track in terms of meeting our goals for getting water to Joliet by 2030 and meeting the goals of making the project affordable for the citizens of Joliet and the residents of the region. It's also important to note that this $61 million amendment has a shared responsibility between Joliet and the other commission members. I'm not going to walk through all the detailed numbers on this chart, but the takeaway is that Joliet and the other 5 members have agreed to share the cost of building the system based on how much capacity each community needs. So the second column on this table shows the declared demand, how much water each community believes that they will need by 2050. Joliet is clearly the largest of the 6 members and with a projected need of 32 million gallons a day, but the others are significant. The total design capacity is about 55.3 MGD. So the total cost of the program, of constructing the program and this engineering will be shared, excuse me, among those communities based on their proportion of that capacity. So that $166 million of development costs will really be is Joliet's credit towards its total amount of the overall program, and will be spread out so that Joliet will, at the end of the day, only pay for its share about 58% of the total construction cost for the program. So the process we're going through right now, draft of Amendment 3 was shared with the city and with the Burns and McDonnell Independent Review Team back in mid-July. They've been reviewing it. We've been meeting with them regularly over the past few weeks, making adjustments to that. We're here. Last week, we provided a briefing on the amendment to the Technical Advisory Working Group, which includes representatives of Joliet and the other 5 communities that make up the commission. We're here to brief you tonight, answer your initial questions on this. August 24th and 25th, we'll meet again with that Technical Advisory Working Group, as well as the Mayors and Managers Group, representing all the commission members, and address any questions that they have. And then the final amendment will be on the agenda for consideration by the council on September 6th.
Any questions?
Yes, just one.
Yes.
All of our budget projections on the entire project, correct me if I'm wrong, had a 30% contingency built in.
25% was what was
25?
included in the conceptual.
And so that 166 million includes a 25% contingency.
The way it was calculated, we estimated the construction costs, put a 25% contingency on that, and then estimated the engineering on top of that. So you are correct. It considers the contingency as well.
So it may not cost the entire 166 million by the end. Right now, we all know the economy is in a mess, but we're still trying to shoot for that 25% contingency.
That's correct. And part of the work that's going on right now to complete the preliminary engineering is to update all of the estimates of cost for all of the elements of the program so that we have a better understanding of what will the total program likely require. If you can imagine, when we developed the 2 alternatives, there was a lot of work put into figuring out what would it take to bring water to Joliet. Well, now we're into the devil is in the details, right? Figuring out what right of way are we actually going to put the pipe down, which communities do we have to go through, exactly where are these delivery structures going to be located. So all of that work is going into updating the cost estimates. That work will be completed with the preliminary engineering at the end of the year. We'll revisit all the financial analysis at that point. But this contract is definitely, it's a time and materials with a not to exceed contract. So we will only spend and bill the city what's required for the work that needs to be done.
And last question, we're at about 58% of the, carrying 58% of the cost, because we'll account for 58% of the volume of the commission. So if it's $1 billion project, we're gonna pay roughly 580 million of that billion. However, had we gone alone, we would have paid over 700 million for a project by ourselves.
Correct. That's, when you look back at the numbers, that was one of the critical elements. If you can think about it, building a pipe from Chicago to the Joliet area, you have to build a pipe, whether it's for Joliet or for 6 communities. And while that pipe may be slightly different in size, depending on how many members you have, the size was not going to change dramatically. So yes, being able to spread that cost out across 6 partners reduces the unit cost for water to everybody.
If I remember, I think it was a $780 million preliminary estimate. So we saved on paper so far, by forming the commission and inviting partners in, about 200 million that we would have had to pay by ourselves.
Definitely more economical, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one quick question, and I think you made an answer. I know you had mentioned it in this presentation. One of the companies is I can't remember the name of it. I think Images something.
Images Inc., yes.
Right, they're going to be kind of doing the public output for DBEs.
Images has actually been helping us with public outreach for the last couple of years. So they've been involved in helping us put together newsletters, the e-blast, for example, the monthly work that's done to put out the electronic billboard displays and things like that for Joliet. That's the work that Images has been doing. They're also right now helping the commission develop its own website and set up a public outreach program for the commission. And that's one of the key, if you will, complications of the program right now, is there essentially there is a regional component that has to be done to set up the new regional utility, as well as all the work that has to be done in Joliet. So we have to basically run those efforts in parallel.
Right. So I guess my point, the question, will there be any type of data to show, the commission as well as the council, how many DBEs has been brought in on this project as we move forward?
Absolutely. We're working to kind of run numbers to date to see what's been the participation to date. But as I mentioned, we'll be putting out this RFQ in September to bring in engineering support. And certainly our state and federal funding agencies expect that information. So that'll be a key part of what we report going forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
What's the max million of gallons a day that the system can handle?
So the design capacity is 55.3 million gallons per day. But what's also been done is when we solicited the other partners, we asked them all to estimate their build-out capacity. How much water did we think they would need at build-out? We did the same for Joliet. The system is not, it's being designed to accommodate that. For example, the pipe itself, we don't want to have to put a second pipe in down the road. So we've looked at making sure that that pipe can convey an ultimate build-out capacity of about 104 million gallons per day. But the pumping stations, the other facilities, we're certainly not going to put pumps in for that capacity now because we may not reach that capacity for 70, 80, 100 years.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Next on the agenda is citizens to be heard on agenda items. Is there anyone present that would like to speak on an agenda item this evening?
Hello. I am here to speak on the agenda item for 1101 Mills Road, changing the zoning from residential to light industrial. And it's 432-22. I am standing here as a landowner in Manningdale that's within the 600 feet boundary of that property. We did not receive a notice about the public hearing, so I am here to ask the council to not approve the zoning from residential to light industrial. Number one, not just in Joliet, not just in Will County, not just in Illinois, but across the nation, we are having an affordable housing crisis. That affordable housing is not specialty housing for low-income housing. That affordable housing is middle-class, working-class housing that the nation is seeing a shortage of. So I am standing here as a landowner who did not receive notice to rezone from residential to light industrial. I am standing here as a citizen who grew up in the neighborhood where we've seen East High School closed. We saw Thompson High School closed. We saw the grocery store closed. We saw houses that were demolished. So instead of seeing light industrial come to the neighborhood, we need to see residential housing come to the neighborhood. We need to see affordable housing come to the neighborhood. We need to see single-family housing come to the neighborhood. We need to see mixed income housing come to the neighborhood. There's not a shortage of industrial parks in this nation. There's a shortage of affordable housing for the working middle class in this nation. And for us to even consider to change it from residential to light industrial, it's telling our constituents that we don't care about the working class citizens who live in this community. Say no to the industrial park. Kingsman Industrial Park, say no to that industrial park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak on an item?
Good evening, Megan Cooper, Joliet. I'm also here tonight to speak against the Kingsman Industrial Park. I will be elated the day that I can come down here to City Council and to thank Council for something other than industrial. I won. We are being slaughtered on that side of town. Like the woman spoke before, we lost our only grocery store to be replaced with a drug rehab facility right across the street from a liquor store. We're being surrounded and bombarded with I-1. Yes, in that area, there is some industrial, but it's enough. On that side of town, we actually have to worry about the trains and the traffic. 911, any type of emergency, a lot of times I sit there and I see fire trucks sitting there waiting for these trains to pass when they literally stop directly on the track, blocking them from being able to access whoever it is that called. It becomes a shame that when I call the fire department on that side of town, they say that whenever they come to council, that you guys turn a blind eye to them, and that you don't hear them out when they say that these type of developments actually impact their ability to service the people that it should service. You're talking about taking a Joliet Country Club and making this into affordable housing. I've seen the plans. It's beautiful. But then right across the street from those plans, you're talking about making that as I-1 as well. I mean, what does that look like for that side of town? Those people deserve more. They have children, they have families that they're raising. They don't want no more industrial. We don't want no more trucks. You're talking about a county road that can't even manage that type of traffic. Our streets are being demolished by these heavy trucks. Our neighborhoods are being taken advantage of by industrial moving in between them. When North Point was brought up, they said that there will be no more warehousing outside of North Point. But then we look up and people that do not have an invested interest in our neighborhoods want to go after the cheaper land. They don't care that it's in the middle of a neighborhood, but you should. Because some of these are the people that you represent, and even though you may not represent them, I'm pretty sure that you all have family members and everything else that you would not want this for. So think about the families, think about the people, think about the school. You have Thompson School right there. You also have a church down there. You have a whole community, and you're talking about putting industrial there. Please think about the people, think about the neighborhood. You're killing us. We deserve more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none, the city manager will review tomorrow's items.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item, agenda item 409-22, regular payroll for April 22nd through May 5th of 2022 of $3,832,531.73. Agenda item 410-22, regular payroll for May 6th through the 19th, 2022 of $4,936,307.15. Agenda item 411-22, award a contract for the 2022-2023 small meter replacement program in the amount of $993,495 to Calumet City Plumbing and Heating Company. Agenda item 412-22, award a contract for the purchase of 4 asphalt hot box reclaimers to Monroe Trucking Equipment in the amount of $124,996. I know that this is something that Councilman Clement has voraciously worked towards so that we can do much better and much longer lasting repairs in the wintertime. So we finally got that done. Agenda item 413-22, award a contract for the Helen Avenue Charity Avenue Mills Road roadway improvement project of 2022 to PT Farrow Construction in the amount of $261,523.96. Agenda item 414-22, change order number 1 for the 2020 roadways resurfacing contract to Austin Tiling Construction, the amount of $46,425.42. Agenda item 415-22, change order number 1 for the Hobart Road Bridge / Hollywood US Route 6 I-80 roadway reconstruction project in the amount of $256,444.17. Agenda item 416-22, purchase of 3 new vehicles for the Undercover Drug Enforcement Unit. This money will come from seizure funds, not out of our general fund. So these are seizure funds from drug dealing or gains from drugs, and they have been forfeited. They must be used specifically on combating drugs. This falls under that category, and this allows us to buy these at really no cost to the city. Agenda item 418-22, issuance of a Class E liquor license at 2721 West Jefferson Street. Agenda item 419-22, issuance of a Class B liquor license at 158 North Chicago Street, Moose's Tapas Bar. Agenda item 420-22, issuance of a Class B liquor license at 1416 West Jefferson Street, the Royal Palace Event Center. Agenda item 422-22, resolution approving the annexation agreement for 2749 Gulf Road. Agenda item 423-22. This is a proposed First Amendment to the Rock Run Crossing redevelopment and redevelopment plan. Agenda item 424-22, fulfillment of the statutory public hearing requirement for the proposed amendment number 3 to the City Center tax increment Finance Redevelopment Plan and Project. This is for the TIF. Agenda item 426-22, ordinance associated with the Keystone Business Center re-subdivision of lot number 3. Item 427-22, ordinance approving a special use permit to allow an automobile dealership in a B3 general business zoning district located at 3301 Essington Road. Agenda item 428-22, ordinance approving a variation to allow the construction of a 2-unit resident, an R3, a 1 and 2 family residential unit in R2 single family residential zoning located at 1401 North Center Street. Agenda item 429-22, ordinance associated with 3501 industrial subdivision approving a preliminary plat survey for the 3051 industrial subdivision and an ordinance approving the final plat for the 3501 industrial subdivision. Item 430-22, ordinance approving special use permit to allow trucking facility and warehouse in an I-2 general industrial zoning district located at 21-2 Page Avenue, 220 Maple Street, and 300 Maple Street. Agenda item 431-22, ordinance associated with the annexation of 2749 Gulf Road. Agenda item 432-22, ordinance associated with the Kingsman Industrial Park, approving the reclassification of 25 acres on 1101 Mills Road from R2 single family to L1 light industrial. Ordinance approving the preliminary plat of the Kingsman Industrial Park subdivision, and ordinance approving the final plat of the Kingsman Industrial Park subdivision, Unit 1, and an ordinance approving the recording and plat of the Kingsman Industrial Park subdivision, Unit 1. It will be noted that the petitioner held a neighborhood meeting with the area residents to discuss the proposed petitions on Thursday, July 14th, 2022.
Jim, can you speak with the lady who says she wasn't notified? Could someone from staff be with her after the
I'll
meeting?
find out, but I know, but the notes here say that there was a public meeting on July 14th, 2022. So
Thank you.
be more than happy to find out from staff if letters were sent out and get her address and
Okay.
we can double check. Next is item 433-22, ordinance approving a special use permit to allow an adult use cannabis dispensing organization located at 2211 West Jefferson Street. Item 434-22, ordinance concerning declaring certain properties as public nuisances. The properties are as follows: 452 Midland Avenue, 664 Meeker Avenue, the garage only, and 23 Miller. Item 436-22, a resolution adopting the Urban Forest Management Plan. Item 437-22, a resolution approving the intergovernmental agreement with the Plainfield Community Consolidated School District 202 for the School Resource Officer Program. Item 438-22, a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the United States Submarine Veterans, the USS Chicago base for a monument at Bicentennial Park. This is to commemorate, and they're going to be here tomorrow, the fact that submarines were built in Wisconsin, floated down from Wisconsin all the way to the Mississippi. Then they went through the Gulf of Mexico to Panama to fight in the Pacific. It's a huge undertaking. Those boats all came by, city of Joliet, and they've been working diligently to put memorials along that route. Item 439-22, a resolution appropriating additional motor fuel tax funds for the 2021 motor fuel tax roadways resurfacing contract A. Item 440-22, a resolution appropriating motor fuel tax funding for the Helen Avenue roadway improvement project. Item 441-22, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of an amended real estate purchase contract for the 1320 Ada Street. This is something, a vacant lot that the city currently owns, and we're divesting that. We're working on a program, again, to get rid of some of our properties that we are holding on to. We don't need to be in the property management business, I believe. And these are vacant properties. We have to maintain them and cut them. And this is a step in the right direction as we start to move some of these things forward. Item 442-22, a resolution authorizing approval and execution of real estate sales agreement for the purchase of real property at 917 Washington. And with that, that concludes the agenda items. I would like to, on city manager business, say that the city of Joliet was awarded $3 million by the state of Illinois today. This just came out, and that's for the redevelopment at the downtown plaza. So that's just great. It's a matching fund. I know that we had already appropriated $3 million. So, you know, this is, you know, really great for the city of Joliet and will allow us to get some things really, really moving on this. So, and that, subject to that, your questions, that concludes my remarks.
Question?
Yes.
I didn't see it unless I overlooked it. For the, what's supposed to be high-end luxury used car lot, or used car business, not lot, out on Essington Road.
That was, I believe, the one I mentioned about the car business. Right?
No. I had a question. You did mention it. When Derek was still here, there was a preliminary agreement. It was all based on the sale of the property and who won the bid. Obviously, they, you know, are gonna rent it instead. That would prohibit them from having a high percentage of standard cars, because we don't need just another, I understand they're presenting themselves, I had talked to them back then too, as high-end. I would like to see the agreement that's restricting that from ever becoming, should it not work out well for them on high-end for some reason, I hope it does, that they just become another used car lot.
I understand.
So I'd like to see that, otherwise we can table it tomorrow, I'd like to see that agreement.
Okay, absolutely.
If you can email it to me if it exists.
Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
I'm sure we'll get a hold of it.
Next on the agenda is public comments. Is there anyone that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
Good morning again, fellow councilmen, members and mayor. You of course know who I am, Kathy Arthas, on Better Road. And what I gotta bring up now this time is about the roadsides on Better Road here. Me and my neighbor have been talking about how these things have not been mowed at all. I talked to Betty, contacted Betty about it before. About a month ago, I contacted Betty about it and wondering what could be done about the roadsides not being mowed on Better Road. Because I got these pictures here and the roadsides are really looking ugly on Better Road. It's grass they planted with the netting and the spikes that they use to hold the netting down to do the grass planting. Now it's just all weeds growing back and netting's still there. The spikes are still in the ground. I don't want to mow it with my mower and get run over and get flat tires with my mower and get that netting wrapped up in my mower. Because the past winter I got it caught in my snow blower and it damaged my snow blower last winter. So, you know, me and the neighbor, like I said, have been talking, you know, because we've been keeping the roadsides mowed, both sides of the road. We used to mow all the time before this road was expanded. But now all the weeds on the roadside, I got pictures if anybody wants to see the pictures. And then another thing, I brought up last time I was face to face with you guys about the drag racing down there on Schweitzer Road. They still to this day ain't got nothing done with those drag racers. I have seen Joliet cops, like 2 days ago, I saw a Joliet cop following me home the other night for some reason. I come up on it, Schweitzer Road, there were the kids, there were their souped up cars wanting to drag race. I seen that Joliet cop behind me, they even seen it, they thought I brought the cop to them. I said, I didn't bring the cop to you guys, but you guys know you're not supposed to be doing this drag racing. But I expected that Joliet cop to do something to him. Nope, Joliet cop didn't. He proceeded to follow me all the way down to the end of Better Road there, but then he did turn around. I don't know what he did, go back and tell him to get lost and not come back. But last night, you know, the other night, they were drag racing between the two Home Depot warehouses over there off of Centerpoint Way. And the only thing that stopped them from drag racing is Mother Nature with a big downpour of rain. I mean, Mother Nature is like the only thing stopping these drag racers. You know, we gotta stop it. you know, and it's my biggest complaint with you guys. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak under public comments?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Alicia Morales. I live on Cora Street in Joliet, Precinct 4. I received a letter from one of the residents that lives in off of the Benton Street and Henderson area. And this is regarding item 430-22, regarding an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a trucking facility and a warehouse for a zoning district located at 212 Page Avenue, 220 Maple Street, and 300 Maple Street. So I responded to a call I received regarding this ordinance, and I talked to many of the neighbors. We went and spoke with a lot of the residents. Some of them wanted to come out today, but today's an open house for their school, so they couldn't be here. They were with their family, taking their kids to an open house. Some people work 2 jobs, so they're at work. And honestly, I don't expect people to come to these meetings because we have to work. If we're homeowners and we're paying taxes, we have to be at work. So this is not that they elected me for other things, but they reach out to me because we have relationship. So they asked me to come on their behalf, and that's why I'm here as a resident. And also as a friend of the community. So basically, we would like to petition that the City of Joliet to deny the application for a special use permit and variance affecting 300 Maple, 330 Maple, and 212 Page Streets. We understand that the contract purchaser, American Property Investments, LLC, has submitted an application for a special use permit and variance to operate a trucking facility at the above referenced properties. American Property Investments LLC is attempting to build and operate a trucking facility for their own logistical needs and their own profit motives with disregard to the health, the safety, air quality, and overall quality of life to the area residents. This area already exceeds the maximum truck operating capacity limits. We have not been presented with any environmental impact study from either American Property Investments or from them or from the City of Joliet to determine that the air emissions and noise pollution levels will be. Recent local government decisions have facilitated rapid and irresponsible warehouse development in the surrounding Joliet and Will County area. Elected and appointed officials like you and myself also have regularly granted negative declarations to proposed warehouse developments, meaning that warehouses have not undergone environmental impact assessments despite the evidence of health harms associated with the warehouse and trucks. Zoning rules exist specifically to protect the health and quality of life of the residents. Our existing buffer zone is less than 600 feet, and the recommended buffer zones between logistics facilities and residential properties and schools is a minimum of 1,500 feet. We respectfully demand that Berlinski Scrapyard and the American Property Investments LLC be better neighbors, and that you all, the ones that will making the decisions on this tomorrow, that you respect the land use rules and deny the proposed special permit requesting to open a trucking facility at a residential location. This would unfairly burden our community, which is already facing polluted air and further deteriorating our roads. We too, we're homeowners, we are taxpayers, and we have a right to live in a safe and a healthy environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, wasn't there a neighborhood meeting held out there?
I believe so, yes.
Not everybody was notified.
Yes.
There wasn't.
Yes, there was, August 5th? August 5th.
And I wasn't able to attend, that's why I wondered. Well, who from staff was there?
I can't answer that right now, I'd have to find out.
Okay, can we get that information for tomorrow, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
Is the petitioner here?
Is the petitioner here? Do you have questions?
I just wanted to know if he wanted a moment to respond to some of that.
You can talk tomorrow if you want, that's fine.
That's fine as well. I'm happy to address the council now.
Well, whatever, yeah, normally you would do it the night of the vote, but if you want to.
My name is David Swice. I'm the attorney representing the applicant. I forget which council persons, I think it was Ms. Coleman's point. We did have a neighborhood meeting on August the 5th. There was a somewhat decent turnout of about 10 people or so showed up. We're happy to address the issue again in more detail tomorrow. I'm happy to speak with Ms. Morales, is it?
Yes, sir.
I'll speak with Ms. Morales afterwards, and then we could address this tomorrow. And if it need be tabled to provide additional information, that's something that the applicant's open to as well.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, I did receive a request for closed session. For a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned.
So move.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Clement? Aye. Councilwoman Gavin? Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Total Info Dailies.